Welcome to Aligned in Authenticity, soul conversations on alignment, intuition, and living authentically. Lately, I've been sitting with the deeper reasons of why we stay stuck. Usually, we know when our life doesn't quite fit anymore. We know the relationship isn't working. We know the job isn't aligned. We know there's a dream inside of us that just won't leave us alone. We hear the whispers, yet we stay stuck. And what's been coming up for me is there's a deeper fear that keeps us stuck. The fear of not being enough. And I've seen this with myself and with others, the fear of, can I measure up? Do I have what it takes? If I follow what I know to be the most true, most aligned, most authentic path for me and my life, what if I don't succeed? What if I fail? Then what? Where does that leave me? Does it mean that I'm not enough? You know, I've seen this thought process play out multiple times in my life. And one of the ways is with the book that I know I am supposed to write. The whisper has been there, and I've known for over 10 years that there's a book inside of me that is meant to come out into the world. And I've started and I've stopped and I've started and I've stopped and I've put it on a back burner. And finally, there came a point where I asked myself, what is the deeper fear that's keeping me from finishing it and accomplishing this when I know it's something that I'm meant to do? And what came up for me was the fear of failing. And it wasn't just the fear of failing. It was the thought that if I hear the whisper, I know this is aligned, and I follow the path, and I don't do a good job at it, or I fail at it, then what does that say about me? I attached my failure to not being enough. A thought process that, okay, if I fail at the thing that I know I'm meant to do, then that just means I'm not good enough. And where does that leave me? How do I come up from there? Where do I go next from there? And I think that's the fear that sits with a lot of us. You know, if you leave the relationship, are you good enough to find someone else? If you leave the job, are you good enough to get another one? Are you good enough to start your own business? Are you good enough to make the money you know you deserve? If you follow the dream, are you good enough to execute it? Are you good enough for it to be successful? It's a thought process that we often have of attaching our external achievements, goals, and the things we accomplish to our self-identity, our value, our worth, and whether or not we're enough. So after the knowing and before we take action, usually comes the question, am I enough? And you know, the question has deep roots because that question was in a way given to us. We are taught as we grow up that there are things we need to do, a way we need to act, and a person we need to show up as in order to be enough, in order to make it in the world. And so we spend most of our lives trying to prove, trying to measure up, trying to meet the expectations set for us by ourselves and by others. And when that doesn't happen, when we fall short, we often see that as validation of our not enoughness. We attach external measures of success and external goals and accomplishments to our value and to our worth. So to save ourselves the heartache and the trouble, we determine that we're not enough. And a lot of times what happens is we play out the scenarios in our head, in our crystal balls, and we look ahead to the scenario where we fail, where the results aren't what we visualize or what we want them to be. We don't succeed in the way that we thought we would. And when we think of that outcome in that scenario, we see it as validation that we wouldn't be enough. And if that's the case, staying where we're at with what we currently have keeps us safe from the feared reality of living in a world where we are not enough for our hopes, for our dreams, for our wants, and for our wishes. I'm going to let you in on a discovery I've had as I've sat with this concept. And it's that the question actually isn't if you're enough. Just because you don't accomplish something or you don't meet expectations, it doesn't mean it didn't happen because you weren't enough. Your life outcomes do not determine your value. And I think once we're able to see and recognize that, it becomes easier to make a decision and take action, because then comes the realization that you can't fail at being you. It's simply not possible. So if the step, the direction, or the change is truly aligned with who you authentically are, who you're becoming, and the direction you're being guided to go, the question isn't, are you enough? The question is, are you ready? Are you ready to take the step? And each time you take a step, do you have the tools, the mindset, and the approach needed? Or do you need to try something differently? Or are there additional lessons that you still need to learn? Because not getting the outcome that you want doesn't automatically mean that you're not enough. It just means that you're still learning, growing, and becoming.